Hi everyone, this is Ashutosh here from Cognio Labs, and today I'm really happy that I'll be recording a session trying out one of the latest new tools by my favorite AI company on planet Earth. And today what we'll be demonstrating and what we'll be looking at is Claude Cowork. What is Cowork, you ask? Now, basically, what usual workflow with AI models used to be that you would enter a prompt, get an output, and then copy and paste that output to different files. Maybe your output is an HTML file. Maybe your output is actually code. You would copy paste that somewhere and then finally get the result, and the workflows seem to get really complicated. Earlier, what the workflow used to be with AI models is that you would use these top of the line models, which would give you everything from content to code, right? Now, what is Claude Cowork and why did we need it in the first place? Now, in a typical AI workflow, what usually happened was that you would ask the AI model a question, the model will give you an answer, you will copy paste that answer to a relevant portion, and then you pasted the answer as a part of a file, and that file was part of a whole ecosystem, maybe a folder, maybe multiple folders, and then you can now understand how that workflow would get cumbersome, where you were copy pasting stuff back and forth. Then there will be issues arising. And so what happened recently was that Anthropic came out last year with something called Claude Code. Now, what was Claude Code? So, as the name suggests, maybe it's a version or a tool for Claude that helps you code. And that's precisely what it was. The main thing was, and the biggest unlock there was that, and if you have these models via a terminal, what does a terminal have? It has access to your PC, right? And it has access to all your files. It can write code which creates files, and it can also write code which reads files, right? And it can do that dynamically. Now, these models got trained better and better. In parallel, what these AI model companies are doing are they're training these models to be able to use tools effectively. As part of that training, they basically give them complicated tasks and they see if they can use different tools at the correct point. And what this leads to is that these models really have a great idea. If you give them the right tools and you just let them be, they can do surprisingly a large amount of work. And this is where Claude Cowork comes in. So today, what Claude Cowork does is that it's basically Claude Code, but for not coders. So now what Claude Cowork does is that it's basically Claude Code, as in it can create files, read files, and then run continuously on a folder in your PC without any interruptions. And the amount of potential that it unlocks and the kind of quality that it gives rise to is amazing. And so right now, Anthropic has only given access to Claude Cowork to people in the max plan. I'm really thinking that it'll be expanded to other plan and other tiers soon, because this is something super powerful. And so today what we'll be doing is I'll be taking Claude Cowork for a ride. I'll be trying it out and doing something that I actively need for my day-to-day work. What I'll be building with Claude Cowork is my personal content engine. So now, with all that introduction aside, let's get started. So now this is Claude Cowork. It recently came out. January 12th was when the blog post announcing it came out. And so right now, the way to access Claude Code is through the Claude app on your desktop. And this is what we have installed. So I'll just open this app and I'll make it full screen so that we all can see what we're working with. The way to access it, you open the sidebar and then click on the tab that says Claude Cowork. This is a completely vanilla version of Claude Cowork. I haven't used it right now at all. And so we're going to be using it together. We're going to be trying to figure out how it works. Just to give you guys some context, I'm already on the max plan. That's precisely why I have access to it. And I am a really heavy user of Claude Code. I use it a lot to write code. I use it a lot to write stuff that is not code, right? I use it for a lot of mostly marketing related purpose, if you can believe that, right? And so with that in mind, there's an update to install. Let me just do that. And so finally, we have upgraded a version of Claude. And right now what it's doing is it's setting up the Claude workspace. So it might be installing all the necessary things it needs to install in order for it to access, read, and modify devices, files on my system. And so right now what it's doing is that it's installing everything it needs to install to be able to correctly access, read, and write files on my system. And with that in mind, what we can do is we can the folder we wanted to work in, and this is what we'll be doing right now. So I will go to my documents, I'll go to Cognio, I'll be going to marketing, and I will create a new folder called content. And because right now I'm going to be working on my content plan and the things I have to do, I'll be taking you over what are the basic tasks that I need to finish, what is the thing I need to get research for, and this will really help us out a lot, especially in making more content. And so that's why I'm giving you a demonstration of something that is actually useful, that I'm actually gonna use in day-to-day life for posting my content on all my social media channels. And so that's why I feel this is a really good demo for us to actually see how useful it is really. And we create on always allow. You need to understand that there are some risks involved with letting these AI models, which do hallucinate all the time, right? Which make mistakes and which are very, very still susceptible to prompt injection, giving them access to your PC and letting them add, edit, change, and modify files is really fraught with difficulty. So please make sure that you understand that risk before proceeding. I do, and I am willing to take the consequences. I have everything backed up. That is important. So I can do this. So just giving you an idea of what we need to do. Now, basically, I've sat down and defined what my weekly content calendar needs to look like. And this is what I need to do. I plan on posting on Medium 2 to 3 blogs a week. I need to give replies on Twitter. This is something I'll do myself. Remember that doing that with AI is not really good. However, something that AI will really help me in is writing these threads, like 2-3 threads a week. And 1 article a week on Twitter. This is something I'll be writing primarily myself, but it'll help me draft it, figure out, do some research, obviously, and then basically polish it. Another thing we needed to do is that I have a podcast a week. And so with that, for every podcast, I do a lot of research, and I need a system which helps me do that research. And then I plan on putting like 1 shot a day. And so it needs to help me with that as well. Then for LinkedIn, what is the thing we need to post? 1 long video a week, which will come from YouTube or a regular stuff. And then 2 articles a week, which will be either going from the Medium blog, and it will be structured something different. These articles are going to be posted on my sort of company's account and not from a personal perspective. Well, these blogs will be written from my own personal perspective. So yeah, these things, and so slightly and obviously LinkedIn 5 posts a week, and it's just 1 to 2 posts a day. This is what we need to do. And here, so basically everything, these are the different types of content I have to create. I need to create blogs, Twitter replies, Twitter threads, articles, LinkedIn articles, right? Cancel Twitter replies. I don't think that will be slightly. I'll be using AI for that at all, right? Then we'll go on to YouTube, because we'll need help creating skills for long form videos, skills for YouTube shorts, and LinkedIn videos, which will basically be either directly the long form videos themselves, or sometimes they'll be different depending on the context. In terms of audio content, because I have a podcast, I'll need to create research report for my podcast, and same with for LinkedIn posts, social media posts. So basically what I plan on doing is figuring out a structure where I get the best practices for for an example. So basically what I need to do is I'm going to be using Claude Cowork to help me do research on what are the best practices and what is the best structure of the best written Medium blog, right? frequency, what should the structure be, what should the style be, what should the language be that are recommended by people who are doing really well on the platform. I'll compile that for all the platforms in here, and I'll compile all of that information in different documents. Using those documents, what I'll be actually be doing is I'll be building automations using NA10. Sometimes I'll be just using Claude itself, and actually writing the content. So this is what we're here for, and let's get started. So now I think our Claude setup is still going on. What we need to do is then we just start writing the prompt. And so in order for us to write this prompt, we need to attach these two files, right? And so what I'll do is I will copy both images and copy this, paste that, copy this, paste that there. Oh. So now copy this image and over here. I'll do that for the second image. I don't need to copy the second image, so I'll be working here. I have attached an image which shows the kinds of content I need. Engaging content on YouTube. I have that in a file called YouTube.md in the So now that Claude Cowork is perfectly set up, I have written a detailed prompt for what I want it to do. If you see, you can read the prompt here. What I'm telling it to do basically is to create different files for all the social media platforms I'm mentioning in the image that I just provided, right? And so if you see, so all the social media platforms and for all the content types that are mentioned here, it needs to do research and find best practices for making engaging content, right? And it will add, and so for each platform such as YouTube, it will add that in the file. I'm also describing over here what each file should contain. And this is just simply context engineering and prompt engineering best practices. I'm precisely telling it what I want. Whatever I'm telling it that each document for each social media platform should include the best practices, overall tips, tricks, and insider hacks for creating content, a detailed outline for each content type, right? And for each outline, you will mention style and structure tips, what components are mandatory, right? What I've also asked it to give references for different and template for different formats of these shots that have performed the best, right? What description and practices are relevant today for getting maximum mileage. You will make and I'm telling it that you'll make the similar MD file for each platform which contains all this information for all the platforms and content I've mentioned in the images. Since you will go in depth and give outputs that are taken from reputable sources and which give genuine value and knowledge gems for how to succeed. These documents will be sent to social media. And so this is, I'm emphasizing here what are the things I needed to do, right? So now once that is done, our file folder is set up, our model is selected. Let's just begin. And so it's asking me permission to access files in my documents folder, which I will gladly give it because that's its job to do. Now, if you're looking at the structure and like the general layout of Claude Cowork here, I think this is where all the to-do list files will be added here, and each artifact will be added here. And over here is all the context. So if I just click here, I can see what folders are open. See, I click there and it actually shows me, it opened the folder in my Finder window, and it's just showing me the folder that I chose. So yeah, that's what it's doing. So we'll wait for a response, and I'll get back once it gives me an answer. So now if it started working, it'll research the best practices. And then I think to do right is a tool that it's using to write the to-do list here. And then it will finally do what we asked it to, right? And so if we see over here, we can close and open the sidebar. This is the sidebar that we can close and open for our Claude thing. So I think we need to close this one, and we'll just keep this one open. And if we click on view steps, we are seeing what it's actually doing. It's now searching the web. It researching YouTube best practices. So it's a to-do list of things that it feels it needs to do in order for us to get the task completed. And yeah, this looks good. Let's just get back when it's done responding. We're seeing that it's still working on task 1. It's calling all the tools. We can see the results of these tools, and it's still working. It'll take a little while to work. There's been some good update from Claude, and it has updated the to-do list. It has marked a lot of these things as done. And now it's finally, I think it's done all the research. Now it's actually creating the files. I like the fact that it's doing more research just to get comprehensive coverage. Hopefully it ends up in higher quality content. Let's see. And so we are finally, Claude has given us the output that we asked for. And this is the dashboard that it also made. I will open this in Dia and let us see what we are getting. So this is exactly what I asked it to do. I basically told it that I needed a dashboard which will help me plan my content working stuff. And so I can just go on a week and finally see and just tick what part is done. That's super useful. That's amazing. This is precisely what I wanted. And yeah, so there's a quick reference guide as well. So it made a weekly checklist that I can reset as well. And that's amazing. Another change I will ask it to make is that I need to make sure that it has all the weeks in it. I think it's just for this week. This is amazing. I think it's completely set it up exactly the way I want it to. Me what content to put, what to work on when. And yeah, this is great. It's also giving me a platform guide, a weekly checklist with article, how many are done. And I need to be like, okay, is this done or not? Is this done or not? Perfect. And I'll just deploy it as an app, and it should be good. Great. And so yeah, that was Claude Cowork for you. I really hope you got a sense of how to work with this. It's pretty much just using Claude, how you would use Claude typically, but understanding how to give context that is relevant, understanding what to do when, and the ability of this to read files and edit files on your local PC is something that's super useful. And I feel it'll be getting better and better, because this is right now only a research preview, and I'm super excited to see what the future has in store for us. The way knowledge work is going to get done is going to completely change. This is just Claude Cowork. This is V1 of the future right now. GPT is going to get their codex model working better. They're going to be coming up with a version of this very soon. Mark my words. This was an overview of Claude Cowork. I hope you really liked it. This was Ashutosh signing off. Thank you so much.